This is John the Gadeloupean, and as I have announced it in my previous video, in this message, I will speak about why apparently President Donald Trump has manifested mixed feelings about Ukraine and has shown a rather friendly attitude with the president of Russia, President Vladimir Putin, when the two presidents met in uh, August of the year 2025 in Alaska. However, before this, I really wish to say thank you very much to the people who supported me in my support in favor of President Donald Trump. There is a nation that I'm going to call the big system that because it doesn't have the characteristics of a regular country with a territory surrounded by borders, but it's defined by economical, ideological, and spiritual characteristics. And about spiritual characteristics, I want to say more precisely anti-Christian. However, it tries to act as a superpower, trying to have as much as possible the countries of the world submitted to its authority. However, depending on the country, that big system has more or less influence on it. For example, European Union seems to have completely submitted to that big system. However, even within its territory, depending on the country, that big system has more or less influence on it. Among the internet channels in French language, one of them called TV Liberté has had a guest, a woman who spoke about a system that seems to be the same one like the one I'm talking about. However, she gives more details about it, mentioning countries that have refused to submit to that big system. Among them, for example, are China and Russia. That's why President Donald Trump may feel closer to Russia than European Union, for example, because for him, freedom of American people is very important, and he has also refused to have the United States submitted to that authority. Also, NATO seems to be a weapon of that big system. And because of the strength of Russia, it has apparently not found any other ways than being dishonest by breaking the deal that has been made in the late 1980s, I have mentioned in my previous video, to try to surround as much as possible Russia and to try to force that country to submit to that big system. However, if we study the characteristics of that big system, it matches with a scenario where that big system would try to make the world anti-Christ ready. And we Christian people know that behind that antichrist there is Satan. That's why in the countries where that big system has had influence, it has been trying to promote as much as possible abortion, different types of homosexuality, uh, and also wokeism. Also, because of the type of relationship Ukraine has had with the Western world, probably uh, it was going to be a member of NATO and European Union, meaning reinforcing that big system. That's probably why President Donald Trump has had mixed feelings with Ukraine. So I encourage you, American voters, to support President Donald Trump in his will to keep the United States free and vote in favor of his party for the 2026 midterm elections. Thank you for your attention. God bless America.